Bulavinaka, Namaste and good evening. Our show tonight on Fiji Village Straight Talk, as we had promised, we will be taking you out of the studios and the second episode of the reality of the situation of drugs and substance abuse in our country. This evening I have a few people lined up to talk to you directly. We're talking about accountability, transparency, what's happening on the ground. That's what the show is about. And on Fiji Village Straight Talk, coming back tonight for a short conversation again is Drug Free World Fiji founder Kalesi Volatabu, and of course she was on the show in the first episode. Kalesi, welcome back.
No, vale. Well, thank you for having me.
And since we've spoken, I just wanted to quickly highlight the shockwaves that have gone around the country, Kalesi, in relation to the realities on the ground that we spoke about in our first show.
Yeah. So we've been inundated with requests for a sit down, have an audience with. What was prevalent, the lack thereof, or people are not aware, or they're just too naive to realize what's happening out there for them, which is, in one regard is really good because people wanting to learn more now. They want to know more. They actually want to do something within their own community, whether it's to go out and do more drug awareness in their own community or whatever it may be. So we've literally been contacted to sit down. Obviously right now is what strategies do we implement now, whether it be within governments or different ministry, whatever it may be, across the board, across the country, whether it be from government all the way down to grassroots. So
it's great news, and of course we can confirm to you that we have been approached by government and other organizations as well to reach out and to try to find out the reality and look for permanent solutions as well in relation to this cancer that we are facing in our country and the immediate action, the urgent action that is required. Kalesi will be talking to a few people today, but you had also shared with our viewers and users about the drastic effects drugs can have on your life. And you were one of the users before, where in Australia you were at your lowest when we got affected by it. How bad can hard drugs be? How bad can marijuana even be?
To a point where it's not the person can't function on their own. It's the drug that actually functions for them. What does that mean? It takes control of your whole life. You can't even, you can't make decisions without having to go on drugs to be able to do that, which is so bad in the sense that your thoughts are distorted, your thinking, your decision making puts you at risk on so many things. And that's what happened to me when I was in Australia. And I come here and I see exactly that with families, with young people. When we go on the street and we do delivery, we have people coming up now, from the last time we sat together and have this talanoa, we went and did an distribution out at the supermarket, super bus stand. Why? Because that was identified as one of the hot spots, especially from the schools, where young people would say was how easy for them to get the drugs. The other one was patrons just coming to us on Fiji Showcase, and they were saying, you need to target the market because that's where things were, transactions have been happening in full view of everyone. So we went out, we did our delivery with the police at the police post, and what was the problem was we had young children finishing school, and they come in. There was two that stood out for me was a class 3 and a class 4. They came up to the booth and they just started talking. Miss, can we have more booklets? I brought my friends. Can you just help me tell my friend what are the effects of this? So it actually, it's in double edge now. It's not just doing delivery. Young people are coming out and bringing their other peers along, and they're saying, you know what, can you bring some boxes to our school because we need it within the school. So one of the big things that was coming out, the kids were actually sharing what was happening within the community, within their schools, what they're seeing on the outskirts of their schools at the gate and everything else. So I realized if we need some intel of what's happening in the school, just go sit down and have a talanoa with these young people, and they would freely tell you what's happening out there for them.
Yeah, so that this misconception that it's only amongst the adults or only amongst foreigners, it has come to the realization that it is being done even by the youngest of the youngest that we can think of, and people highly addicted at the same time. Kalesi, thank you very much, and we'll continue to talk about this issue because it remains a topical issue, and we'll speak to some people now, and it will be a very raw interview. I warn you of that. We'll try our best to bleep some of the comments, but it'll be very raw in relation to what people are going through in relation to the drugs they're taking. So we have a person by the name of Cindy, another person which is not the real name, to protect their identity. There's another person by the name of Chloe and Marco. There are a few of these people are still users, and they'll talk about how they got into this situation and how they're trying to get out of this situation. They want to get out of this situation. And we have a person who is fully rehabilitated but has gone through the hard road, and we'll talk to you directly about that. So stay watching. We are here with Cindy. As I had said, that we will be talking to different people on tonight's show. Cindy is 35 years old, and Cindy, that's not her real name, and she's opted for this name to protect her identity. And Cindy is a current user of both marijuana and methamphetamine or ice. Cindy, thank you for coming on the show, and the main reason Cindy has decided to do this show is she is trying to get out of the drug addiction and needs help. So she also at the same time wants to let people know the effects that you have when you are taking these drugs like marijuana and methamphetamine. Thank you for sharing your story on Fiji Village Straight Talk. Now, Cindy, if you can talk about when were you exposed to drugs in your life?
I was first exposed to drugs when I started doing sex work when I was 12 years old. And since then I haven't left or given up or I've always resorted to drugs because of the work that I do as a coping mechanism. Even though it is a negative coping mechanism, but I felt that being a street-based sex worker, this has always been what it has been keeping me going. Even though there are negative impacts of taking illicit drugs, I still chose to do this because the life that I've chosen, or the pathways that has the ways that I've been living, I guess that's the reason why I'm still on drugs, and hope one day I would give it up, and I want to.
You started, when you said you started sex work and drugs at the same time at the age of 12?
Yes.
Where, in Suva? Or?
I was born and raised in Lotoka, and that's where I started to do drugs and do sex work.
So you were exposed, what drugs were you exposed to first?
Marijuana and at times sniffing glue.
So you went on the streets, started into sex work and got into drugs, and how easily was it available? What year was then?
It was around 2005, and drugs were so easy to get. It was accessible for anyone, especially on the streets. We knew where the pusher's house were. We had other friends, other peers of mine. We would all come together, and we thought that this was something that we could do and share amongst our friends and peers.
How's the drug scene in the West? You've experienced the drug scene in the West, in Lautoka and Nandi, compared to Suva.
I would say that it's quite the same, because we share context amongst our networks, even within our friends. So whenever we would want to get drugs like meth or marijuana, we would call up a friend. For example, if I'm from Lautoka and I'm coming up to Suva, I would call a friend up in Suva who knows all the hotspots or the dealers that are in the area.
And it's easy to get.
It is easy to get.
Any kind of drug.
Any kind of drugs. As long as you have the money, they would offer you the drugs.
You started when you were 12. When did you get exposed to ice, to methamphetamine?
I got exposed to ice when I was taken into prison, and I was actually taking drugs into prison.
So you were taking drugs from outside into prison?
Yes.
What did you go into prison for?
A case that was around doing sex work.
Sex work.
Yes.
And then you took drugs. How did you get drugs inside the prison?
Because you would come out for court cases, and there are other drug lords that were there would make contacts outside, and they would come and see us at the court, at the high courts or wherever and pass the drugs to us, and then we would we become like we would hide it within ourselves. We become mullets, and we would get that drugs, ice, cocaine, and marijuana, including suki and other stuffs, into prisons.
So you put it up through the rectum?
Yes.
Now the issue of taking it there, and then you are supposed to distribute it to people who are wanting those drugs there, identified people?
Yes, they were the drug lords who would want their boys outside to give drugs for them to actually take it take the drugs to prison for them.
So that's when you first exposed to ice?
Yes.
And that's when you tried it?
Yes.
So how old were you then?
I was 24. I was 24 years old. And then I couldn't get out of it. And I know that, I know the negative impacts of it, but yet I still choose to do it because some of the clients also offer us meth with exchange of us providing sexual services to them.
So they force you to have the meth as well?
Yes, because they would all tell us that these kind of drugs will keep us awake and you'll make us horny, and we would provide the best for them. And most of the times, even though I do this work for a living, I've always kept it in my mind that it's just for a living and not to provide that extra sexual services, because some clients can be very abusive, especially when they are under drugs and alcohol. They would do a lot of very abusive sexual acts on us.
Now you're saying you want to leave.
Yes.
What are you doing to try to leave?
I've been doing the very best I can, but I probably mean that we do not have a place where we could go in that's a space that is non-judgmental, and a place where people don't actually see us for who we are, but actually see what we've been going through and what we want to achieve.
Do you have family support?
My chosen family, yes, my blood family, yes, I still do have support, but not so much as my chosen family that I have now.
So your family, I'm saying your family, your actual family, they know what you do, and are they providing any type of support for you to get out of it?
I don't think so. They have done in the past. I don't think so. They will ever do that in the future. But I think this is a battle for me alone. But I'm doing my best at trying to leave drugs out of my life, because I feel that I still have a purpose in this life, and I also want
A purpose without drugs.
Yes. I also wanna be a positive person that actually creates positive pathways for my fellow peers who may be going through so much in their life and resorting to drugs, thinking that it would take away all their troubles, all those other things that they think that drugs would take away all that. You know how you have we have so much worries. How about you're thinking about a lot of things, and when you take drugs, it kind of just makes you feel so free. But the problems are still there when you come back.
Fix.
Yes.
I see you were in tears, thinking about things. What's going through your head?
Most of the time, because at times whenever I always do drugs, I always trigger most of the memories, my memories that I have in terms, like for my childhood memories. I never get to really be a child growing up because I had to get into sex trade because I had to survive.
People are watching this show. There'll be even those who can make a difference in making decisions. You said you agreed to come on the show to help others, but also you need action to be taken, support to be given. What kind of support do you want for those who are watching and would want to help you to get out of this?
Yes, the support, especially it begins at home. You need parents need to listen to their children and actually see if there are maybe other needs that children also go through, and then the parents do not respond. And secondly, we would, as drug addicts, we would like to have a space that is non-judgmental, that actually could rehabilitate us drug users and drug addicts. And also for the church needs to also step into becoming part of this web of safety and care for drug addicts, especially young people who are now mostly seen as drug users.
Cindy, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Sir Vinaka.
That's Cindy, who's come forward to talk to us about the situation at hand, a difficult one, but wanting to come out of the situation she's in, and the situation of taking marijuana every day and taking ice on a weekly basis, involved in sex work, and trying to get out of everything by getting other people to come forward to assist. After the break, we will be talking to Chloe, and again, that's not her real name. She's opted for that to tell her story. Stay watching. About 20 years ago, we had a major drug bust, and you would remember, you would have been part of the operations at Laudala Beach. A lot of people in Fiji did not know what was methamphetamine. And what we are picking up on, people are saying it's readily available. Just an issue in relation to General Secretary. Was that a tactical move that he ejected himself from Parliament?
Personally, it's unfortunate.
How are you dealing with those police officers who may be allegedly involved in this?
Vijay, no one is above the law.
We assure you that we will be having police officers around.
As a result of that bad policy, by the end of this month, we would have lost close to about $70 million in government revenue.
Bula Vinaka, I am Vijay Narayan. This is Fiji Village Straight Talk.
Fiji Village Straight Talk with Vijay Narayan. Watch it live on the Fiji Village Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Welcome back. You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan, and as we told you, we are outside the studio tonight telling the story of the people on the ground, the reality of the situation on the ground regarding drugs. We've had a discussion with Drug Free World Fiji founder Kalesi Volatabu. A lot of work we're doing in relation to looking for solutions, for permanent solutions. We spoke to Cindy before the break, where Cindy spoke about the issues being faced, the methamphetamine, the marijuana usage, and trying to get out of the situation. In this segment, we are talking to Chloe. Chloe is also 40 years old, and she will be talking to us candidly about the situation that she's in. Chloe, which is not her real name. Thank you, Chloe, for sharing your story on Fiji Village Straight Talk.
You're welcome, Mr. Vijay.
Chloe, you said you've been doing drugs for quite a long time. If you can tell us about what kind of drugs were you exposed to when you started doing drugs, and who showed you what to do?
Okay, Mr. Vijay, I've been like explaining to you earlier that I was taking drugs at my young age. That was when I was 15, and that time I was schooling at one secondary school at around Lami, and maybe because it was for like comes from a peer groups that I've been joined that allow me to try and want to experience the outcome of how you feel if you taking marijuana, especially like after I think when I was in Form 6, I took ice. That time when the ice came in a big pack, not like in a small pack that came nowadays, and it was like you can use it for 1 month, and within that 1 month period, but I took it for few days, just that amount, how much I've been, and it was like 2 times I took it, and the outcome of it is like unexpected to me, because
just going back to, so You were taking marijuana
Yes.
from when you were 15 years old.
When I was 15 years old.
And then as you're going along, and that was with your schoolmates, that's when you first found out
First
about
found
it.
out about
So
it.
from there, where were you getting the drug? Where were you getting the marijuana?
I was getting the marijuana when I like sneak out of school in the night. When I came out of school, and then I looked for it. I went to some places in Lami and then to buy. That time was like it was cheap to buy marijuana, a joint, and it was already in a what you call the zigzag. It's already been in a roll. So we bought it for $2 a roll, and like I can bought like $10 for my ration in school, and
You
then
took it back to school.
back to school. I took it back to school, and then I gave it to my colleagues, those who smoke it. I sold it to them. Sometimes if I don't have biscuits, I don't have my rations of food, I sold my marijuana to them.
So you're dealing the drugs too in school.
I'm dealing drugs too in school.
So as you were doing that, you said you got exposed to methamphetamine or ice. How old were you? You were still in
was
secondary school.
Still in secondary school.
So how did you get exposed to
That was the
methamphetamine?
exposed to like one of my form mates. The boyfriend was at that place, used to selling it. He used to like sales in the boat, fishing boat, and he used to bring it to us.
So while you're still in school, now you've started doing methamphetamine.
Yes.
Were you also dealing methamphetamine in school?
Later, after school, that was when I was in my 20s, and then I sold it for like, because I'm like I want to use it every day. Since I'm selling it, I'm looking for a friend that have that amount to give it to me to sell it, so that I can have access to it every day.
And what were you selling?
That's the reason. The ice itself.
So you're selling both marijuana
Both
and ice?
marijuana and ice.
So you have your dealers?
I have my dealers.
So you pay them, or you sell and then you pay them the money?
I sell and pay them the money, just for me to access to it, so that I don't go and look for it, don't go around and look for it, or like asking from a friend. Instead of asking and looking for it, I sold it myself, so that I can, like I sell it, got it from a friend, so that I can have access to it every day.
Do you smoke marijuana every day?
I smoke marijuana every day. I can have 2-3 joints in a day, alone.
What if you don't? What if you don't use it?
Like if I don't use it, I'll call a friend. I'll find somebody that I know that has it to give it to me to smoke it that same day.
What happens when you smoke marijuana? I mean, of course you go to a different place, what people say, but it's a temporary fix. Don't you understand that?
Yes.
Why you still do it?
Maybe because of the pressure that comes in my mind with what I've been through. That's the reason.
You can't find any other better solution?
Like, to me, that time is like drugs is the only solution to my problem.
But now you realize you have to leave?
Now I'm realizing that I have to leave it for good.
You're a mother as well.
I am a mother as well, and I am like a single parent, which I have to work hard and like to get money out of, like, not from drugs, and like to sweat my ass, to go and do my job and do something to get money out of it instead of drugs, because I know I have a daughter, I have a son, and especially at this time it's different from our time.
You don't want them to get exposed to these drugs?
I don't want them at all. That's why.
And that is why you're trying to talk to the people directly to look for solutions?
Yes, that's the reason why I'm trying to. When I was being asked by Mbui this morning if I can talk if I want to be interviewed by you, I said yes. Like it came automatically. It wasn't in the list. I was not in the list last night, like all of this week. Yes, to talk today.
What made you come out?
Because like I saw my children's age on the street, and it's like hurting myself. Like I'm seeing my children there. If I'm going to continue doing it, and what will happen to my children in a few years' time to come? Like the lowest age I saw here, my two naked eyes is 9 years old. And whenever I go to the shop and buy something from the shop, and when I went past them, my children's face come to me. Like, I was like asking myself, how about if your children are there? Just because of myself. You know, like, on the other hand, I'll talk in a biblical way that, you know, we are Christian, and on top of it, seeing these children here, and the outcome of drugs that they've been like diagnosed with here on the street, it want me to like stop. Just don't do it. Think of your children, you know. One day you'll be a grandmother. One day your children will be a leader, and they'll be it'll be a bad picture to them if their mother is taking drugs.
You were exposed to methamphetamine or ice.
Yes.
And then you said you had, it scared you. And you stopped taking ice.
I stopped taking it.
So you just started, and what happened?
I just started it, and then I was like, when I was taking it with my two cousins' brother. And we are not like far related, we are just close related. Like our mother were sisters, and he's my mom's elder sister's son. And then we were like coming together from broken family. He's the only one in his family, and the only one in my family. And whenever like the first time I took it.
So you said you're drinking alcohol.
I was drinking alcohol. And it comes to a time when I take that ice.
Where did you get it from?
A friend we were drinking together with.
So easily accessible again?
Yes.
Here in Suva or
in
the west?
In the west.
In Nadi?
Yeah, in the west. And then he wants me. Like the feelings that comes to me, I never see him as my cousin brother. Or he's my mom's sister's son. I seen him as he's going to me tonight. And then the next day, and I heard the story from my friends, I was like, oh no, I'm not going to take this again, ever.
So you're saying that after you took ice, you lost control and you had sex with your very close relatives?
Very close relatives. It's not like, and it never happened to him, and then like, I was slept with a friend instead of him. That friend of mine that I went with, he told me, I stopped you. Like, I'm the one who stopped you to have sex with him. I said, then why don't you take me home? He said he's too drunk. He came with a wife over there. They're a young couple. We've been trying to tell you, but you never listen.
So that scared you?
It scared me. The next day I was like, I'm not going to this is not going to happen again.
But you lived in Nandi for a long time.
Very long time.
Is there a lot of people taking methamphetamine, ice or hard drugs there?
Yes, plenty, a lot. Like most of the youths in Nandi are taking it. And on top of it, not only youth, they are parents, they are mom, they are dad. Some are single parents, some are single mom with the children. They taking it in front of their kids.
You've seen this?
I've seen it. And some are taking it together with the children. And that's the picture that I was like pictured myself with when I was like, how about if I'm doing it with my children? Maybe this will be the outcome of it. And like this, the same thing happened to me. It happened to them. I can tell that. Like it make you like you don't respect anybody at all. You don't have that feelings to like feel for that person. Like you heartless. You know, like you can't feel anything at all.
You say people get really violent and moody too if they don't have it.
Yes.
Have you been through that?
Yes. Like if they don't have it, they'll fight in the house. They'll make a big scene, like out of nothing, just because there's no drugs there to satisfy themselves with.
You were in a situation also, you worked in the tourism industry.
Yes.
And were you exposed to drugs there as well? Because you did say that you were dealing drugs as well.
Yes. How addicted I was that time, that was just last year. Because I was looking for people who's selling it, my relatives who's selling it, so I can go and get like some of it, so to sell it for them in order for me to access to it. So like I don't have to go and look around and to look for my $10 to go and buy my drugs, because I already have it with me. The only thing I'm doing is like sell it to the tourist to get like more money out of it, so that it can like fit the amount that he gave me to sell. Yeah.
Were there other people also selling in places like schools and other areas? Is information
yes,
coming out?
where I'm staying in Nandi, there are kids that are around my places. They're living around my places. Some of their parents are in overseas. Like two of them, they are brothers. One schooling in one school.
Some schools in Nandi.
Some schools in Nandi. They're selling it. They bring it home. They want to come and smoke it at home, but I never allowed it.
This is marijuana or
marijuana and ice as
so
well.
how old are these?
They are in Form 3, Form 4.
So their parents are overseas,
Yes.
working in these
Yes.
different schemes where they go overseas.
They went like they're living there. They have their relatives there.
They're sending money
They're
across.
sending money across. Sometimes when the parents are sending money, they bring the money to me to keep it. When they want to go and buy drugs, and they took the
How much money do they have?
100, like grand. I have like 1,500 with me one time.
From these boys?
Yes.
15? 14,
Yes,
15.
they trust me because they know like I treated them like they are my children, because they're the same age as my son. That's why I always call them son when they come home. And then one time one of them came with their speaker and I said, where'd you get all this stuff from? They said, oh, that's from the marijuana I'm selling in school. They give the speaker to have one pack, or the headphone to give the pack. And they give even the phone. They came and leave it to me so that nobody at home seen the stuff that they've been bringing home from school.
Instead of cash, they give things from the house.
They give things from the house.
So you've seen young kids having a lot of money from the parents from overseas, and then using that money to buy drugs.
Yes.
How bad is it in the West?
It's really bad. Every day they come home. When they come back from school, they have to come home and have one roll. and then they go to their house. Every day, even if I'm not at work, I'm not at home, I will tell them where I left the key. Because I knew when they come home, they keep my stuffs at home. The positive side is that I want them to come home so they can like start teaching them slowly with what they're doing is not right.
Some people will watch this and think you are doing the wrong thing.
That's what. Like I was like brought my cousin at home with the husband and the son, and not long they left. Because of what I'm doing, they thought that I'm not doing the right thing, and which they didn't know that I'm trying to help these kids. Because I know I'm a mom, I'm a mother, and one day I'll be a grandmother as well, and I don't want it to happen to my children, and I don't want like people to point it at their parents because of what they've been doing. That's what I've been trying to tell them, and on top of it, like I just knew them when I moved to that place. And the parents, like, I didn't even know the parents at all. All I knew that the parents in overseas, paying their flat over there, and paying somebody to come and look after them.
The coping mechanism that you're using, is having a negative effect on you. You've been using marijuana, you've been using methamphetamine. You are trapped in a cycle.
Yeah.
Do you want to get out of it?
I want to get out of it. I think I'm almost there.
How you can get out of it?
Yes, I've decided already, and I always share tumbui every day when I'm here. Like the only way to me is just to pray for myself, and it happened. Like God is working in me now. It's like I forgot all those ice taking thing and been addicted to it, and even marijuana here. Like marijuana is here every day, even in and out. People are coming in and out in the cell, bringing marijuana, which some of them I don't know. Only me, I know it. They come here and they like calling me to go and smoke marijuana. I said, yeah, go. If I'll come later, but I'll sit back and thought of it and think. If I'm gonna go, people are looking, and some if walk on the street and they know me. Like now I'm going back there, doing my stuff there again, and come back again. The same old me, they will looking at it in a negative way, which I don't want that to happen. And I'm doing it slowly by myself, and I don't need anybody else. And you can help other people. Even you should help yourself first.
There'll be a lot of people watching this show,
yes.
And they are watching tonight.
Yes.
What is your message to the people out there who may be on drugs or who may be thinking, oh, this is something I should try, it will make me look cool? What's your message to the people out there?
My message to the people is that don't be too proud of yourself. Don't you think you have everything you have in this world that make you give you the right to take every drugs you want to take, or take it wherever you want to take it, so that the people can see you, to look at you, that say, oh, that person is a strong person, they can do that in that place, nobody bothers, even the police come and see you, they can't do anything to you, that's my right. On the other hand, that's it's my human rights, it's my woman's right as well. And my advice to you, if you taking drugs now in front of your children, in front of your relatives or somewhere public, that it's not right, my advice to you, please just stop taking drugs, just say no to drugs, and do something better out of your life instead of drugs, and help your colleagues and your friends not to go back most of us have the pride that you have from that time to bring it back at this time, and thinking that the time is still the same, which is not. And it's it will, the only thing it will affect you, affect your body, affect your life, your family, take you out of your friends, and nobody will be there to love you. That's it.
In your life, what what issues did you go through in your life that you thought, as you said, that I turned to drugs to try to cope with it? What are some of the issues that affected you negatively that you thought this will help me?
Relationship wise to me, like when I was starting from when I met my children's dad and then my children's father, and then non-stop cheating. I've been like through with him, and then I thought I'm gonna like met somebody and then like gave me two beautiful children which like take me out of, but can't, like I'm not happy in my family, like it take me back to drugs. And then I left him, and then we find another relationship, and then I never trust men out of it. And then I went to be a lesbian. And then in my lesbian relationship, and then I found it's been abusive, and I thought it'll bring me a good life out of it, but it's not. And then I end up to drugs again. And whenever I take marijuana, it's like smoothen my, like it soothes me, like it's calm me down. When I take marijuana, like everything that is in my mind, the broken that I have in my life, like gone. But after those high and all, and then come back to my mind, but still the same. There's no change.
The problem doesn't go away.
Doesn't go away, yes, stays there.
Chloe, you are 40 years old.
Yes.
And you have two beautiful children, as you said. You're trying to leave. What is your message to the people out there who may be watching this interview and have the power, can make that decision to help people like you? What would you want to say to them?
Just want to tell them, just leave drugs. Just don't take drugs. Just try to be calm. You have other solution to your problem than drugs. Drugs is not the only way to like calm you down. And the only thing that drugs will, it will like affect your life and take you to the wrong way.
Chloe, thank you very much for your time. And that's Chloe, who's grown up in Suva. She's spent a lot of time in Nandi, working in different places. And we are still continuing with the show here. And as we'd like to also apologize for the heavy rain that you can hear outside, because we are out of the studio trying to capture the different people who feel safe on where they're talking, and we'll be back after this break. About 20 years ago, we had a major drug bust, and you would remember, you would have been part of the operations at Laudala Beach. A lot of people in Fiji did not know what was methamphetamine, and what we are picking up on, people are saying it's readily available. Just the issue in relation to General Secretary, was that a tactical move that he ejected himself from Parliament?
Personally, it's unfortunate.
How are you dealing with those police officers who may be allegedly involved in this?
Vijay, no one is above the law.
We assure you that we will be having police officers around.
As a result of that bad policy, by the end of this month, we would have lost close to about $70 million in government revenue.
Bula Vinaka, I am Vijay Narayan. This is Fiji Village Straight Talk.
Fiji Village Straight Talk with Vijay Narayan. Watch it live on the Fiji Village Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Welcome back. You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan, and this is a special episode, our second one, in relation to the reality of the situation on the ground for Fiji when it comes to drugs, drug dealing, people taking drugs. We've had the show going so far. Unfortunately, due to weather conditions, we've gone to another day of talking to Marco, the pseudonym that he's using to discuss with us the issues relating to drugs, what he's seen on the ground, an interesting story. And for Marco, we thank you, Marco, for coming forward to speak to us, because he has been a user, he has been exposed to drugs for a number of years, and now he has fully rehabilitated and is in the process of educating others to ensure that they do not get into hard drugs or do not get into drugs at all, or substance abuse, and have better coping mechanisms in place when they have issues playing up. So Marco, thank you very much on behalf of our viewers to come forward to talk to us.
Thank you, Vijay.
Marco, just when were you exposed to drugs? What drug were you exposed to first, and how old were you?
I was 17 when I was exposed with marijuana, and it's just one of my family. They just was working here in Suva and came to the village, and that's why he came. That's why he brought the marijuana with him. So I was the first one who was hooked up with it.
So that was in Vanuatu.
Vanuatu, yeah.
And you were saying that prior to this, around 1989, no one in the village ever knew what marijuana was, or there was no marijuana in the village?
No, there wasn't. It was just like sniffing benzene. That's on it. But with marijuana during that year, no.
And what happened after that? You've lived through that process from 1989 onwards, as the people started using marijuana, different people in the village, because they were exposed to it. How did the village change?
It's just the behavior of the youth. Yeah, a lot of youth there, like it just changed all of a sudden, because like everyone know the taste of it, and if someone is known that has been smoking in the village, like everyone wants to try or wants to be part of it. So the respect and everything in the village totally changed so fast.
When you went into it, you said somebody else asked you to try it. What was your experience like?
For my first experience in trying the marijuana, I was so good at that time, and the trip that you are in, like the first hit when you take on the marijuana, oh my God, I can't explain it. That's why I was just, every day I was just trying to get to that point. But I came to realize that that's the only first time that you're gonna get the first hit.
And then you addicted, and it goes downhill from there.
Yes, and I was addicted with it, and I could do anything. If I'm not with the gear, I could have do anything just to get my shot on that day.
What do you mean you could do anything?
Like, if I'm after my gear for the second hit, I can just go my uncle's house, some imbe there, the mat, just grab it on the bus to the market, just exchange the mat with the marijuana, come back home.
You start stealing from your own family members.
Yes.
And if you don't have anything around
You don't have anything around you.
They're going outside.
Yeah. But the worst problem was like I was doing it in the village and with my family. I don't have any respect for them when I'm hungry for my gear.
Now, as these things went on, you continued to take marijuana. You're saying that you also went out of the country where you got exposed to. Where did you get exposed to the harder drugs?
In overseas.
So you had left.
Yes.
Before this big rush came in with more hard drugs easily accessible.
Yes, yes.
What year was that?
2010. I left Fiji, and 2011 I started trying all those hard drugs that was being exposed to me with some other friends. So, especially when you go in overseas and you met all these Pacific Islanders boys, like, oh, you know, they just want to do anything to you because you are new face there and you are from Fiji. And that's where all the hard drugs started.
And when you're talking about all the hard drugs, what hard drugs were you taking?
I was taking cocaine, ice, and the hashish. It comes from the marijuana oil, and heroin. Those are the ones I was.
You taking all at once? How were you accessing it?
Not all at once, but like every afternoon when you come back from work, like this afternoon I'll try this sort of drugs. Every day, like different drugs I was trying. I was just trying to get that, that high, but it's just the same.
And you didn't realize at that time that you were just addicted and going round and round.
Yes.
In a circle?
Yes.
And while hurting yourself at the same time.
Exactly.
What was going through you mentally when you were going into these harder drugs?
When I was on the harder drugs, like, I was like go crazy. So crazy that so many hard drugs that I was using, like I didn't know it was it was doing the damage internally. So at one point I went up to the washroom, like I had a wee, and I seen this clot of blood was just coming out. And before flushing out down the toilet, I took a photo of it. I took a photo and I sent it to one of my doctor, and he said to me, just call him to work and just say I'm going to see your doctor. And that's where my doctor find out that something was wrong internally.
Now, the issue here is that you're easily accessing drugs in Australia.
Yeah.
You had the group around you, and then you started feeling the effects that nothing is changing for you. It's getting worse, yes. And now you've got the health issue on top of the mental issue that you couldn't deal with. You're trying to get your temporary fix out of a situation, but you're coming back with a situation.
Yeah.
Your severe medical effect, you needed a surgery for that?
Yes, I did go for the surgery and admitted for like 3 months. And and lucky I was survived from the surgery.
Based on the information I received, 45 centimeters of your intestine had to be taken out?
Yep.
And what was the cause of that?
From those all sort of drugs that I was using and mixing all together. That's where it was affected internally.
And you've seen the usage of synthetic drugs, drugs that are not organic at all, even synthetic marijuana and other things.
Yes, look, we have over here in Fiji, in our country, like we have a natural one that grows naturally, but the one that we have in overseas, most of them, they are hydroponic, and they just use a lot of kind of medicine just to make the marijuana mature quickly.
They use chemicals.
Yes, they use chemicals just to make it stronger.
Which is more dangerous.
Yes.
You came back after your surgery. You decided at that point to leave it. When did you decide to leave it?
Just after my surgery. After my surgery, in 2014, that's when I quit everything.
You needed help through rehab?
I didn't need help from the rehab. We just had a phone call just to go and operate a rehab center in Victoria. So I was so happy, like, because I know the cost of to be rehabilitated is too much. You can't just pay it like that in your pocket, especially in overseas. So I was lucky that we've been called to go and look after a rehab center. So that's where I was rehabilitated.
Oh, so through working at the rehab center, you managed to get that rehabilitation done. You came back in 2019 to Fiji. When you left, things were different. What was different when you came back in relation to you seeing things on the ground? Now you are trying to work as an advocate for people not to take drugs. What did you see on the ground in Fiji?
What I see here in Fiji, and I was advocating about the harmful of these drugs, is that I just see myself when I see them, and I try all my best just to help one person out of that situation. So that's what I've seen in the on ground here in Fiji. And talking to them, they don't have any ideas of what the effect of drugs, whatever drugs they're using. So I just came in, explained to them, look, I've been there, I've seen the worst of what you're having now. So all of that experience, I just throw it to them. I can't hide anything to them. It's just because of trying to get them out from where they are.
After you've gone through rehabilitation, do you get that urge again, or you're completely out of that addiction?
I'm completely out from that addiction.
How do you feel?
So well. Fresh, active, energetic.
You feel free?
Yeah.
And when you were taking drugs, what was the situation then?
I was like a Superman.
You thought you were Superman?
Yeah. Bulletproof, 6 inch tall. Yeah. Because when you're on drugs, Vijay, you are a different person. Altogether, you are a different person. You think you can do anything.
Your emotions get numb? You don't care what you do to others?
I don't have that, that heart to feel sorry for someone when...
Even if you hurt them?
Yeah.
You're violent with them?
it's so sad to to look back at it, and like at the moment I've got family, and imagine if that happens to my family, and how we feel or how I feel.
Some people, they say, they do this because of the peer pressure, or they do this because there's too much stress, or they do this because they don't have a stable home. What do you have to say to those people if they're turning to this thing that takes them down a very negative path?
Yeah, most of these drug addicts or drug users, they just use those drugs just to mask the pain they've been going through in the family, in the community, in relationship. But my advice to them is that's not the end of the road, or the solution for what you're facing at home or in the community. The solution is just ask for help. Talk to a right person that can direct you in a right place. But for taking drugs and trying to solve all those problems, like, you can take it, it can go away from you like in 5 minutes, and like in half an hour, once that the power of that drug comes down, the same shit comes again, and you're gonna keep on doing it until you are alcoholic or you are addict.
I'll go back to the issue in relation to what's really happening on the ground, because I've been stopped on the streets now. I've received a lot of calls and messages after we did our first episode with Drug Free World Fiji founder Kalesi Volatabu, who you also work with. Issue in relation to the situation on the ground. Some people are telling me, I never thought it was this bad. I never thought that young people were exposed to these very hard drugs. I never thought that children as young as 11 are shooting meth into their body every day using needles and syringes. What have you seen?
What I've seen here, like they what you call this? They're not scared of any. They're not scared of any drugs on the street. These drug addicts on the street here, like whatever you give it to them, they'll just take it. They'll just take it, just to numb and mask every kind of situation they're going through. And it's so bad. It's so bad when you walk on the street and you see them just lining up there, looking for solution or looking for, something just to solve whatever they've been going through.
Do you think we need to act quickly based on what you're seeing on the ground?
Yes.
Is it just a problem in Suva or in Nandi, or how bad is the problem around Fiji?
This is nationwide.
Around the country?
Around the country. You can't just say only Lambasa or Suva. It's everywhere now. And it's so sad when you visit all the places, and you keep on hear the same story from the drug users. Why are you using it? Why are you using it in the first place? Well, I can't do much because I already got a heap of stuff on my plate, but this thing, I have to do this just to get rid of some of the shit that I'm going through.
The excess of the drugs too, there's a big question about that people are saying it's so easily available.
Yes, Vijay, the excess of the drugs, like it's near your home, it's in the school. Some they can carry it in church. It's everywhere. All we just need is just put the hands together and get rid of these shit drugs that, controlling all our youth and young men and women.
We need to act quickly.
Yes, we need to act quickly.
A lot of people, decision makers, police, others will be watching this show. What is your message to them? Those who can make a difference.
For those who can make a difference, I'm just requesting you guys, we need to put our hands together, put aside our difference, and we have to tackle this ASAP. Otherwise, I don't know where we're gonna see us in a few years' time if we don't act quick.
The other issue is understanding addicts and getting them to get rehabilitated, as the question comes up, because we don't have a drug rehab center in Fiji, and the St. Giles Hospital, which is being used to look after some of the addicts, is not properly accommodating everyone because of space issues, specialist issues. How important is it for us to have a rehabilitation center, and to also at the same time to send the message it's not being done to condone drug activity, but to get people off the habit?
Yeah, the better way to have for us here in Fiji to have a rehabilitation, just to keep the addicts away from those who already been mental, like in St. Giles, because they need a special space for themselves. For you can't just put them together in one place. You can't. They need a special place for themselves, because most of the time they're very aggressive. But like I've been working with them, and I know how to approach them the way who they are. If you are working with addicts, you have to talk like addicts to them. So he knows that this bloke here is different. He got nerves. Because they will challenge. They will challenge you. Most of the time, this the challenge that we've been facing in Victoria. Confronting these addicts, and just the way they respond. But you have to have a thick skin to be with them. You're gonna be sweat. They're gonna sweat your mom. They're gonna sweat your dad. But we don't care about that. The main point is you just go and do whatever you need to do with that person, and that's it.
And are you ready to work with the authorities in Fiji to help people get out of this mess?
Oh yes. I really need to give something back to my people here in Fiji. That's the whole point why we're here in Fiji. We need to give something back, like whatever experience that we've been experiencing overseas. We want to come back, share it to my people.
That's Marco sharing his story on Fiji Village Straight Talk, and tonight's show tells you the story about what's happening on the ground. And we decided to do this second episode with willing people coming forward without any conditions attached, to ensure that they speak openly about the situation, about their lives, to tell you on Fiji Village Straight Talk and the issues they have faced and where they stand at the moment. No doubt, we now stand at the crossroads with action really required urgently to look at the situation on the ground when it comes to drugs. We have talked in our first episode with Kalesi Volatabu about the young children, the access to drugs, and how easily it's available even within the primary school environment. The helplessness of the parents unable to deal with the situation. The negligence part, the question there on what needs to be done. The issue in relation to the education system and how well versed is it with all these issues coming up, whether they need help with that. The Ministry of Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation, the social issues which come with it. The legal matters through the legislators. We have talked about glue sniffing becoming a big issue, and the urgent need to legalize some of these things to ensure that the bans are placed on glue, which is now becoming a real big issue. And the accessibility of these drugs, which is becoming very clear. The drug scene in Suva is no different from the drug scene in the West, and as we've heard, is no different from anywhere in Fiji based on accessibility. How will we cut off access? What action will be taken? We will continue to monitor this, and we are expected to have another episode in the coming weeks. For tonight, we leave you with these thoughts, and we ask you that you also come forward and contact us directly if you want to make a difference for the lives of the Fijians in this situation, which can now be termed as a cancer or an epidemic that is gripping many people of our country. Have a good night.